Phase 4 of the MCU will see the return of Thor and Doctor Strange, along with brand new cinematic versions of Shang-Chi and the Eternals. But with all these new faces showing up, not everyone is going to make it out of Phase 4 alive. Here are the MCU characters who probably won't survive Phase 4. Red Guardian has a pretty complicated history with Black Widow in the comics. They're married until he fakes his death in order to train with the KGB to become a mask-wearing super soldier. Beyond his history with Natasha, Red Guardian is perhaps best known for being the Soviet Union's answer to Captain America, right down to having his own big shield. Considering that the MCU has a long history of changing comic book characters to fit a little better into the cinematic universe, we're willing to bet that beyond a complicated history with Black Widow, Red Guardian won't be much like his comic book counterpart. From what we've seen of the Black Widow movie, we're predicting that David Harbour's Red Guardian will be playing less of a husband and more of a father figure to the Black Widow. If that's true, you can pretty much bet the farm that he won't be making it out of his first movie alive, let alone the rest of Phase 4. It's pretty rare for any father figure to live to see the closing credits in a superhero movie at all, period. Just ask Uncle Ben, Thomas Wayne, and Tony Stark. Considering that the Black Widow movie is actually a prequel that will take place immediately following the events of Captain America Civil War, on account of Black Widow currently being dead in the MCU, it seems even less likely that Harbour's Red Guardian will appear in the series past this film. Iron Man 3 took comic book fans on a journey by completely reimagining the Mandarin, one of Iron Man's oldest and most well-known foes. Ben Kingsley's interpretation of the villain was not what anyone familiar with the character was expecting, and it turns out that was on purpose. In reality, the Mandarin was Trevor Slattery, a British actor with a dedication to the craft and few scruples about playing a fake terrorist on TV.
Then, they approached me about the role, and they knew about the drugs.
What did they say? They'd get you off them?
Said they'd give me more.
However, in All Hail the King, a Marvel short film, it's revealed that the Mandarin isn't quite as fictional as Slattery believed. In fact, the Mandarin and his organization, the Ten Rings, are very real and very angry at Slattery. The short ends with the actor being kidnapped by one of the Ten Rings, a storyline that's been left unaddressed since 2014. With Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings on the way, it's the perfect time to address that unresolved plot. How exactly it will be addressed is unknown. We know the real Mandarin will be in the upcoming film, but whether or not the fake will be making a cameo is still a well-kept secret. Either way, if he actually appears on screen or if he's just mentioned offhand, it's pretty unlikely we'll see Slattery pop up again in the MCU past Phase 4. No, we haven't forgotten that the Ancient One bit the magic bullet way back in 2016's Doctor Strange. That said, since when is a character's death really kept them from coming back? Especially when that character is played by the inimitable Tilda Swinton. As we saw in Avengers Endgame when the Hulk ran into a past version of the Ancient One, Swinton seems very game to reprise her role whenever possible. Add in the fact that Doctor Strange is one character for whom the laws of reality rarely seem to apply, and it's easy to imagine Swinton making yet another appearance in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There are plenty of opportunities to bring back the Ancient One to interact with the Sorcerer Supreme. Nightmare, for instance, has been rumored to be the villain, and a supervillain with the power to bring your fears to life could manifest some terrifying version of the Ancient One to tell Strange all the ways he's failed to live up to her expectations. Or, with other rumors hinting that the sequel will feature dimension hopping, Strange could run into an alternate universe version of his former Mystic Master, giving Swinton a chance to reinvent the character she's played twice already. It seems likely that we'll see some sort of cathartic confrontation between the two masters of the mystic arts, but that doesn't mean we can expect a full resurrection for the Ancient One. Her death in the first Doctor Strange was an integral emotional beat for everyone involved, and bringing her back again past Phase 4 would retroactively damage the film. If Tilda Swinton appears in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you can expect it to be her swan song. As with plenty of other characters in the MCU, the Helmut Zemo we met in Captain America Civil War wasn't quite a faithful adaptation of his comics counterpart. Instead of the Nazi aristocrat who hates Steve Rogers with a passion, Daniel Bruhl's conception of the character was a melancholy soul who puts the events of Civil War in action as revenge for his family's death in Sokovia. His character arc seemed more or less complete in that film, since his revenge was achieved, while T'Challa, seeing the kind of man that Zemo had become in search of vengeance, chose to be better. That's why it was a bit of a surprise to see that Bruhl would be reprising the role for the upcoming Disney Plus show, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Zemo might have framed Bucky for murder once upon a time, but the Winter Soldier and the Falcon were both completely absent during the battle at Sokovia in Avengers Age of Ultron, so the two heroes are a strange target for further vengeance. Regardless, while the comic book character has a long and storied history, it's very difficult to imagine the MCU Zemo starting up the Masters of Evil or disguising himself as a superhero as the leader of the Thunderbolts. Whatever Zemo's role in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier might be, it's very unlikely that we'll see him pop up again past Phase 4. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite MCU characters are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.